So here we are, chapter 14, talking about the importance of living a life of inconvenience. And man, I've reached out to multiple of you today as I was going through here and thinking of the people that I have in my life that I love, that I intend to see do amazing things. And so I know a lot of you have read it. Let me grab my bookmarks because I want to hear from you guys what you pulled out of this. And I really today am looking for you to bring it right out of the book because there were so many pieces where word for word it was written with perfection.
You're going to listen?
Carrie, I can hear you. What do you got?
Oh, hi. I'm sorry. I have company with me today. So
excellent.
Yeah, it's my stepmom. She's just behind us listening.
Perfect.
I did mark places, but I wasn't just ready yet.
Well, then pause and we'll see who else is ready to go. I'll mute you. And floor is yours.
Yeah, I think that going back to the conversation from the last sales book about what you're doing today is what you did like 30, 60, 90 before. Convenience never lasts. If you don't put in the work, sooner or later, what you've got will go away. If you're in that phase where you've got all those pendings on the board and you're not doing the work, say goodbye. You might close those, but there's nothing following it up again.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday, this life of the standard real estate agent of building the business, dying the business, building the business, dying, where their financials does this up and down. And that speaks exactly to it. In fact, I just want to start with the very first paragraph of the chapter. Convenience and greatness cannot coexist. They are diametrically opposed forces. If you can accept that many of the great things you want in life will be inconvenient from start to finish, you are well on your way to becoming a one more thinker. I see so many of you that I've talked to and so many in my world I've talked to that, man, I don't like lead generation. For one reason or another, it feels inconvenient to you. In fact, this inconvenience thing, I've got all this other busy work in my life I have to do, and it would be inconvenient to do the lead gen. You know, I got to take the dog to the groomer. I've got to defrost the freezer. Whatever those other little things that come along that I've heard. I mean, I've heard them all. I got to get a haircut. You can tell how I'm leaning into being inconvenient these days. I haven't gotten that done in I don't know how long. So what else you guys have from the content? Julianne.
Hey, I love it when he quoted one of the other, one of my favorite authors, Ken Blanchard. And when he's talking about inconvenience is a direct corollary to the amount of commitment you have. And he's quoting Ken saying that there is a difference between interest and commitment. This one hit hard to me. When you're interested in doing something, you only do it when it's convenient. And when you're committed to something, you accept no excuses, only results. Pow.
How many of you are committed? How many committed to your business? Committed to your family, committed to your spouse, committed to your church, your philosophical beliefs, committed to your personal growth. And I know Ryan is, I know Justin is. I'm going to see them for 2 days next week in Dallas. I mean, they're all in no matter what, but they want to take things to the next level. That level of commitment, Julianne, man, it's a strong one. And you're right. It's the direct opposite of this convenience. It's part of the inconvenience we're reading. Caesar, what do you got, brother?
And I had one little nugget as well onto that one. I just heard from this podcast I listened to. He mentioned that exact same thing, the interested, the committed, and one step further was like the obsessed, where it was all in. And he told the story about him going to a soccer tournament, and his first game they won, and then that second game there was like this team that was like amazing, and he's like, what's going on with this team? the story behind it is like they were obsessed. All they figured was they were going to go pro, and that they did that. They practiced 4 hours a day, and then let the rest take care of themselves. Like the rest take care of itself. So I just wanted to add that. That was like so important. I wanted to add that as well, but you beat me to it. So thank you.
Nice. Well, all in, committed, inconvenient. It ties into even the smallest things. And he talked about like the inconvenience of getting up at 5 a.m. and getting to the gym if you want to get your health where you'd like it to have. It's an inconvenience. It's not a problem. It's not, oh my gosh, I can't. It's an inconvenience. And when I say the small things in life, let's just take something as simple as being punctual. How committed are you to always showing up on time? As Caesar said, no matter what. That's what commitment means. No matter what. So much fun. You wind up at the altar in front of your friends and family, and your spouse, when it comes time to vows, says, I'll be semi-faithful. Not what we're looking for, right? It's a no matter what. Are you committing at that level to your health, to your spirituality, to your business, to your lead gen? And how different would your life be if you lived that level of inconvenience? What else do you guys have from the content?
So I think from what you were saying is, if you go back to page 176, if you want a fulfilling and blissful existence, you must embrace inconvenience as a way of life. So embracing the inconvenience of getting up at 5 or, doing the lead gen. At the end of the day, you're going to feel better because you knew you did those things that you promised yourself you were going to do. So, and I really think if you want to reduce the inconvenience in your life, you're going to have time block, but then you're going to have to embrace that stuff's going to mess that up, and that's okay. But you can do it at the tail end of the day, be intentional, get your checklist, grade yourself. Did I do all the things? And what you missed, go and do them before you go to bed. Try to get them. And then there was something else in here. Anyway, I'll come back to it.
Excellent. The mic will be available for you because there's lots of other things just in this chapter. Celeste, and then Doug, and then Ryan.
So just so you all know, is this morning at our 8 o'clock phone call, part of my conversation about where I'm at in my business to make phone calls was I was then comparing myself of how much I haven't done to everyone else in the room. And Ryan quickly brought up, don't compare your insides to everyone else's outsides. And I took that and I was very aware that's what I'm doing. And then I had the chance to talk to Coach Russ, and we went through where I feel I'm weak. And it just so happens on page 177, they talk about this whole idea of how if you are comparing yourself to other people's outsides, that's not really healthy for you. And here's what I'm going to add to that. We are all, when we start, we're all at this baseline. But someone who you're comparing yourself to could be way, way, way up here, and you're learning the ways to get to there. And maybe you're not putting in the effort that you should, but you're not. So the fact that you're showing up and you're going, well, gosh, I'm not them, so why bother? That is just the opposite of what this mindset is getting in there and it is inconvenient to be bad when you are not well scripted, and when you feel like every time you have a conversation with someone, they just want to get off the phone. But if you flip this around and you think, okay, I'm going to make the effort to do this, and I might be crappy, to begin with. So be happy that you're crappy because you're doing, and then move to the next level, which is maybe you're not so crappy. And then the next level and the next level. And before you know it, you're aware again, this whole idea of that you're on the phone, you think you're selling someone. And what Coach Russ told me was, in fact, you're listening. You are not in, it's not about you. It's about them. That's where you become really proficient at what you're doing, because you stop thinking about yourself and you think about, how can I be of service to this person I'm on the phone with? So I think what I'd love to add to this conversation is the gradations of where are you, and be real about who you are. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I'm going to tell you, you dropped something in there that I'm going to have to do some scripting around. In fact, I'm going to rewrite the lyrics of music we all know, because we're going to go back to elementary school. And instead, it'll be, if you're happy because you're crappy, clap your hands. Right, Celeste? I will rewrite that, because that is a beautiful place to be. And I want to do one other thing with Celeste, though, because she did a comparison with me and where I'm at in conversations with versus her, which, you know, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. Then, though, she brought an incredible aha of hers into the space. And I want to see if she remembers what she said was the only difference between us two.
Someone who is actually doing it and someone who is not doing it. When you're not doing it, how can you improve? Am I correct? Is that where you're
going? What you really said is you've just done more of it.
Yeah, you've done more.
That was it. I was crappy, and I just did a whole lot of crappy, because she said that the quality comes over time. Quality over quantity, quantity over quality leads to quality. And just focusing on whatever the activity is you're looking to get better at, leaning into it and doing it and doing it and doing it. Doug, you were next up, then Ryan.
Can you say that again, Coach? Quality over plus what?
Quality over quantity first.
Quantity over quality.
Or excuse me, quantity over quality. Thank you. You guys are confusing me. It's crazy. Quantity over quality first. Focus on the numbers. Take swings. Just get into the activity at a high level. Quantity over
and
quality.
Be crappy. Be crappy.
Don't
okay
worry.
To be crappy.
Nice crappy.
Yep. All right, Doug, what do you got, brother?
All right. What's happening here is we're talking about building excellence. That's what's going on, because we're deciding to do things that are hard. Most people don't do things that are hard. They won't do them. They just won't do them. You people are sticking in a room that's just hard. Some of these conversations are a slap in the face, aren't they? But I love this quote at the beginning of the chapter. It says, and I'm going to jump from the beginning to the end. It says, the ultimate measure of a man is where he stands at the times of challenge and controversy. When life challenges you with a very hard thing to do, and you have just been training and training and training to do that over and over again, when the big challenges come, you're ready. You'll be much more ready to jump into that than anybody else will. So when that $10 million listing comes up, you've been practicing, and you get into those places and you get opportunities that you would have never gotten had you not been swinging all the time. So I think the other thing I had was on page 177. It says, the biggest, the best, the most amazing dreams are on the other side of the tallest hills. It's not the correct mindset to put pressure on yourself to do inconvenient things either. you also need to enjoy doing them. It's not just the willingness to take on the hard things, but we are going to learn to enjoy doing the hard things. Satisfaction and self-esteem come from accomplishing inconvenient tasks. So, I mean, this is it's kind of a challenge, but I think it's also kind of a great inspirational chapter if you read it with the right glasses.
Can I add something to this? I'm very excited.
Go
here.
for it, Celeste. Yep.
I'm going to stay in this theme that I see our group of 2 to 5 o'clock Central. If you're in there, you're doing the calls. Don't like I've been there where I can actually say I didn't do the calls. And I want to say this is changing where I feel like be crappy until you're not, and be ready to listen to how people respond and maybe get your skills down so you know you're in a mindset of what is it that's going on about them and how do I best address this conversation so it's not about me ever. It's about how do we help you understand this is a new path for you to go from where you are to there. And I'm here to be your conduit. Are you ready or you want this enough to make a change? And by the way, I keep saying this whole idea of being crappy. I'm okay to be crappy today because I'm not going to be crappy for long.
So we have another song. I heard somebody put it in there in the space. Don't worry, be crappy, right? If you didn't worry about being crappy and you just embraced and gamified and had fun with it. That's one of the things I do on that call time that you guys haven't leaned into yet. I would love at the top of the hour when we check in with everybody that you are willing to speak up and celebrate your crappiest conversation, your biggest failure, where things went awry, and it actually ties into who we are. We've had all this programming that leads us to chase two things, to look good and to be right.
Yes.
And how's that actually working out? And yet we know this is stuff we picked up, elementary, junior high, high school. Yet we know it's not accurate if we just look at what's happening in our universe. And I'll give you this example to help maybe get your mind thinking different. Of all of the genres of sports, types of sports, what is the fastest growing genre? It is the extreme sports, the crazy ones.
Or virtual.
So all those extreme sports that are going on out there, be it, crazy. I happen, by the way, I know you guys are going to have a hard time believing this. In college, I was a water ski jumper. Again, it's a wild, crazy time. And when someone screws up in that space, when they mess up, and in fact, in all the extreme sports, what are we as consumers, as viewers, really looking for? What are we waiting for? What are we excited about?
The train crash.
Yeah, the train wreck, the wipeout. In water ski jumping, we called it a yard sale because everything came off your body and went 14 different directions. Okay? And when that occurs, do we, as either friends or audience members, go, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. How could they do that? That was so terrible. Or do we go, dude, that was awesome. When you heal, you got to do it again. I can't wait to watch it again. We love the wipeout. And so I want you guys bringing those wipeouts to us to celebrate. And I got to be honest, also to coach, because usually the wipeout in an extreme sport or in our extreme sport of prospecting, either for consumers or for talent, it's usually a minor correction that eliminates the wipeout. It's nothing big. It's no big shift in what you're doing, And again, with water skiing, it was allowing you to come off edge right before the ramp, just a little bit. and it would turn into an absolute yard sale. In your world, it may be one or two words. It may be a missing question where you told instead of asked. Yet when you're willing to bring those to the room and share your vulnerability, share your screw ups with joy and laughter, we're all going to be able to pour into you and accelerate your growth curve. I'm optimistic that makes sense. Ryan, you've got something.
Yeah. So on page 178, it says, if you're a leader of any sort, whether CEO, a captain of a team, or a leader of your family, you must challenge those under you to do uncomfortable and inconvenient things as well. Great leaders are often mentors. Think about the possibilities when you stack one up 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade's worth of doing inconvenient things. When you live a life of convenience, you're at odds at living a life of greatness. And like, to me, like, I don't want to do this just for me. I want to win with everybody that hasn't won before. Like, there are so many people in real estate that have gotten screwed by like the owners of companies or like their team owners. I want to be that person that helps those people freaking win. I want my family to be better off knowing that I was the patriarch of our family, that I changed the circle. So this is hitting me right where it needs to be, and it changes the way that you want to do things. Like, if this doesn't change, like, are you reading it? Are you acting on these things? So like for me, all right, what does that do? All right, I need to get up earlier and I need to work out. I need to do these things. I need to stop putting them on my calendar and not doing them. I need to force myself to do the inconvenient things at a high level. And that's what I need to do.
And I want to go back to what you started with, because you're already doing those inconvenient things. And what you started with on page 178, challenging those under you to do uncomfortable and inconvenient things as well. You as a leader, you get to challenge those folks. Now, here's the other fun part of that, because you're all leaders. You're going to bring people in. They're going to show up. They're going to want to follow you because they see the extraordinary things you're doing. They see the outside, Celeste. They don't see the inside and everything that actually had to occur behind the scenes to make it happen. So when you challenge them to do those things, they very well may not. And the sooner you challenge them, the better. One of my favorite exercises for people building teams, where you are bringing agents on and you are all working the database, leading to generating together. One of the interview processes, the last one that I always recommend people do, is to have them show up at 8 a.m. to practice and role play. Now you get to see if they're punctual. You got to see if they actually show up. You do 20, 30 minutes of showing them how to do the script, of you presenting it. You do another 20, 30 minutes of actual role play with partners where they're in it. And then you put them on 3 hours of real play with your database, where they're making calls till noon. If they're not willing to do that, if they aren't going to lean in, what are the odds they're going to work out as a team member and as a real estate professional?
Probably not.
Challenging people to do hard things early will let you know who's really committed and who's just playing to see if it's going to be convenient and be easy money.
I'm going to add to the thing that Ryan said about how it's changing him. It has occurred to me that the way I take in things, I can listen, I can hear it the first time, but what I'm finding is I really need to listen twice or 3 times to something where it finally sinks in. And it is huge that if you're coming to this room to really benefit from this, don't be skimming it. That's what I'm trying to say. I feel like there's some great information in this book, along with the other books we've read. And it's changing us. It's changing who we are. Why would you not want to commit to doing this? Read it once, listen to it again, talk about it. I mean, there's ways we're going to change our world. And I love that we're in this session, but I'm also loving that, I'm learning to be accountable to myself.
Well, I'm going to just kind of have a fun question in the room right now. Do you know why people have their cameras off? It's inconvenient to turn them on. They don't want to look bad. Maybe they're like Celeste. Celeste has been in this room before. In fact, was earlier doing her makeup. Camera on, showing up, although it's inconvenient and it doesn't look good, she's still pushing herself to do things outside the box. Alicia, I saw your mic hot. I want to honor and respect that. What do you got, my dear?
Okay, so a couple of things. Okay, so this book, it's telling us to that we're hardwired to seek comfort and convenience, like on 179, right? Not only that, but we further justify our efforts. We even enlist others to confirm we're on the right path. Okay. And then those people often collude with us in our self-deception. So I'm pulling different parts from this book, and you can just kind of apply them here. Okay. Being self-aware, being intentional, knowing these things about yourself, being intentional to make, I think the whole book is about being intentional in everything, honestly, because you're having to be intentional about your thoughts, be intentional about blocking the ones that are stopping you from going forward, okay, that are pushing you. But when it says that so now we're talking about the things that are inconvenient and they don't feel good, like lead gen. So then it talks about doing the hard things first. So, and I know we've read other books that talked about doing the hard things first. Well, lead gen time is later in the day. And then something I've been struggling with in this book and trying to figure out how to do, I just realized it. The 3 days in one day. I was like, how am I supposed to do that? How do I do that? How do I do 3 days in one day? So number one, I do the hard thing first. So when I get off the phone with you guys, and sometimes before I'm on the phone on the video call with you guys, I'm making calls because I'm trying to do those hard things first. So some people aren't answering. So now I think I will join the later day one, and that'll be another day in my day where I'm calling them again, because
there you go.
Through the phone, I'm just leaving a message.
There's a second day right there that you all could have following this model. And so we're going to run a hair over because I'm also going to respect Ryan had his mic on. There's one thing I want to put in here, though, on the inconvenience piece again. We're all shifting to what's inconvenient. And yet we're talking to some agents, one of my personal favorite conversations. I love going into the office. I got to have an office to go into. I love hanging out and talking. They're going to what's convenient and joining that pity party of why I don't have any real estate in production, enlisting those people to join in and let me know that it's okay that I'm not doing the work and we're all not doing the work together. When you show up 2 to 5, it's not about us socializing. It's not about us saying it's all okay. It's about us saying, let's get our ass into gear and make things happen. And I know that's a great lead in for you, Ryan. Close us out.
Biggest thing, just do the work. Just get after it, people. You know, frame your mind that you're getting the inconvenience is leading to greatness. And you will find that success comes more and more because you're getting more reps with doing the work.